Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to yet another video of basic fiqh presentation. In this video, we'll be talking about the funeral prayer and rite. The funeral prayer and rite. So, and this is likely to be one of our longest discussions on the chapter of prayer. So, what I think we'll be discussing under this funeral prayer and rite. There are so many things. Let's list them out first. The first thing is ghusl for the dead. Ghusl for the dead. Remember when we were talking about ghusl under the chapter of purification? So we mentioned that one of the cases where a person performs ghusl is uh, the ghusl for the dead. So the second thing we're talking about is the shrouding of the dead. How do you cover the dead? How do you wrap the dead before you bury him? And then the third thing is salah upon the dead. How do you perform the salah upon the dead, both male and female, before you bury them? So carrying and burying the dead. So how do you bury the dead? So what are the Islamic rulings regarding all of this? Then lastly, we'll talk about the condolence of the bereaved. So these are the things we're talking about under the funeral prayer and rites. So we start with ghusl for the dead non-material Muslim. For the dead non-material Muslim. So which means the condition here is that the Muslim has to be non-material. So if the person happens to be a material, that is a person that died during the war, during the battle defending Islam. So he does not, it does not require ghusl. So it does not require ghusl. It's to be buried, in that way. So, but for every other person, this is the way you perform ghusl. So let's talk about ghusl. The first thing we talk about is the ruling. What is the ruling of performing ghusl for the dead non-material Muslim? It is compulsory that you do it. It is compulsory that you do it. So the qualified for washing the dead. So who are those that are more qualified? So if a person dies, who are the in order of preference? Who are those that you put forward, to wash the dead? The first is the will. That is the person, the dead chose to do it. That if the dead person chose a person to do it specifically, then he will be given preference to. So as long as he is able to do it. So and then the father, the next, then the grandfather, and so on. It goes up like that. Then also in order of closeness. So like the children, the husband, the wife, and the rest. For a person, for a male, the wife. For a woman, the husband. And that's the next thing we'll talk about. Male for male. So this is the preferable one. Male for male, female for female, with exception of couples and children younger than 7 years of age. So male for male, that is the way, because it is because there could be, or when a person performs ghusl for a dead, there would be uh, a moment of seeing the person's nakedness. So that is why it is preferable to be male for male and female for female. Still following this order that we listed out: male for male, female for female, with exception of couples. That is, a husband can perform ghusl for the wife, and then vice versa. So, and also the children younger than 7 years of age, you don't need to consider whether male or female. So, the closest person, or in this order, can take the ghusl for them. So then you don't need to consider whether male for male or female for female. So the methodology, how do you perform this ghusl? So it is similar to the ghusl for the living. The normal ghusl that we talked about, during ghusl, we mentioned two methods of performing ghusl: the preferred method and the least acceptable method. So it is the same thing here. So it is similar to the ghusl for the living. The only difference is that you will put into consideration that the person you are washing is dead. You put into consideration that the person you're watching is dead. And when you put into consideration that the person you're watching is dead, there are so many things that will lead to. There are so many things that will lead to. So one of the things is that keeping the disease nakedness from the eyes of people, because the disease cannot protect his nakedness on his own again. He is dead. He cannot protect himself from the eyes of people. So you protect him. You do that for him. So the second thing is that you press gently. You slightly press the stomach for waste to come out from the private parts before you perform the ghusl. You make sure that you have done that, and is good to go, and so that by the time you are washing it, nothing comes out again. So, and also putting on gloves before washing. You put on gloves. That this is to protect the person washing himself. So you can see these are the things that will happen when you consider that the person you are washing is actually dead. So there are the things that it will lead to. And also no sniffing and gargling of water required during ablution. No sniffing or gargling of water required during ablution. And also substance with good fragrance like cedar should be added to the water. Substance with good fragrance, so a substance that has a, because the way Allah has created, humans and animals is that once they die, they begin to um once they die, they are not their body, they are everything in their body, stops functioning, and as a result, eh, the organisms around them, begins to try to feed on the flesh, and that can result into, you know, unpleasant odor. So for that reason, it is good to add a substance with a good fragrance, to the water that you use to wash them. So to further enhance, the to further, reduce the bad odor. So camphor should be added to the last washing. To the last washing, when you are, done, when you have washed the person, to it's the last water, or the last, or the overall, how will I put it, the final washing you want to do for the person, that is to wash the entire body. So it is good to add comfort to it. And cutting the fingernails, as this to make the person even cleaner. You remember, this is also part of cutting the fingernails. On the fingernails, the hairs on the armpit and the lice, happens to be one of the sunnah al-fitra, the sunnah of human nature that we took under purification. And packing neatly the hair of a female, for a female, it is good to, because she can't do this on her own. Remember, these are the things that you will need to do if you put into consideration that the person you are washing is actually dead. So that is that. And this is just where we stop, just for the beginning. So later we'll talk about another topic. So this is where we'll stop in this video. We pray to Allah to uh, make it easy for us to make our ending, a good one, that is to make us die upon al-Islam, to preserve us for the purpose of Islam, and make us die as Muslims. برحمته وارحم الراحمين. So we see you in the next video.